Remember the Volkswagen Dieselgate thing?
I know the Dieselgate. It
You
was,
do?
Yeah,
Well, okay, I don't know about this.
yes.
I think they would have lost a lot of fans, but they didn't because of the way they handled that.
We have to admit that we're wrong.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
We're not like, oh yeah, this is totally normal, and like gaslighting the customer into thinking that this is like what our expectation is. I think for us, mistakes are going to happen. They always do. And I think the best way to approach that is to be like, that was really bad. I'm so sorry.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the CX Mixer podcast. I'm joined here by two of my newest friends, and I'm really excited for this episode. I've got Lisa from Everlane and Chad from Vuori. You guys welcome.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Larry.
We just met a couple weeks ago in LA at a customer thought leader event. And so I kind of got thrown into the mix and got a chance to chat with you. And I both made sure to like hit you up afterwards to say, how do I get you on the podcast? And so I appreciate you guys both being open to it, especially so close to Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I think this episode will probably come out like right before the madness. So just appreciate you guys being open. But maybe for those that don't know you, let's just start with some introductions, give a little background on who you are, what you do, your brand. And then I always like to say, like, how big is your team? Because I think that's always interesting. Ladies first, Lisa, let's start with you.
Yeah, my name is Lisa. I head up the CX team at Everlane. Everlane, we're focused on, just really clean luxury, things that are better for you, things that you can feel really good in, not just on your body, but good for the environment. And yeah, I've been here for over 6 years. It's been a long time. Our team, there's 28 of us. So sometimes it feels quite small, but I know there's a lot of other people doing a lot with a lot less.
Yeah, for sure. Chad, how about you?
Yeah, I am part of the customer service team here at Vuori, where we make great athletic gear. And we're starting to get into a few other things outside of yoga and running. We just launched our snow collection, which I'm really excited for. Some great jackets and bibs and pants. And our team, we are a team of 55.
Okay, and it's wild to hear you talk about snow because I'm in Minnesota and I know you both are in LA, and you guys don't even know. Well, you're not in LA, Chad. You're a little bit farther out, but you guys don't even know what snow is, right? So
We
I
can
know.
drive there.
Yeah, it's not far.
That's true. That's true. I
Yeah.
grew up in Arizona, so we would drive up north when we wanted some snow and get in the mountains a little bit. But it's not the same as Minnesota snow, so I'm definitely gonna have to check out the Vuori snow collection and put it to the test. When I was thinking about like what to talk to you guys about, I think the thing that's interesting for both of you, and I've spent a lot of time on your websites just as like a personal shopper. I've been talking about this over the last couple episodes. I'm trying to elevate my wardrobe a little bit, and I actually got an Everlane shirt from the customer team when we were on site, so I've been rocking that. But you guys have a little bit of a different, maybe you have a different customer type, maybe you kind of feel like you have a little bit of the same overlap, but I would say this idea around this elevated premium product that still feels approachable is kind of my way of describing it. So I'm just curious, like, how do you guys find that your customers are actually talking about you? Are they saying things like quality, it's easy, I trust you, things like that? What are some words that you think describe this idea? Like, I'm calling it quiet luxury, but Lisa, we can start with you again. Like, how do people describe Everlane?
I actually think quiet luxury is perfect, and I'm going to start using that myself. I think that's absolutely it. I think it's, our products are they're nice pieces, but they're not like stuffy luxury. It's still approachable, things that you can wear every day. You don't have to feel extra when you're wearing them. So it's really just like easy pieces. For us, it's classic pieces. I think that's part of sustainability too, is having pieces that you're going to wear for years and years and years. And so they're maybe not the most like wild out there trend forward things. Sometimes they are, but yeah, I think having that kind of quiet luxury is definitely us. And I definitely think we have a big overlap in customers, Chad and I. I'm sure we're talking to a lot of the same people. So I think we have like a slightly, our own different takes and a different aesthetic, but I think it's the same, a lot of the same people wearing the same things, and
And you can
they
steal
come
that
for that.
quiet. You can steal that idea of quiet luxury. I was in an airport one time, and a coworker. I got dressed up for like an event, and he said to me, as I was walking to the gate, he's like, "Oh, I really like your outfit. It looks quiet luxury." And I was like, "Oh, that's a compliment, but also a diss because I'm like, I must not dress up enough if me putting on like a nice sweatshirt and some nice pants says quiet luxury." It also made me feel a little old. I don't think we stop like 20-year-olds and say, "Oh, you look quiet luxury." But it's like it's a nice compliment. But I'm like, I think when I think about it, it's not flashy, like the logos everywhere type of a thing. And I mean, Chad, that's kind of Viore. Like you guys have this loyal following, but not your logo's not like all over the place on your clothing.
Yeah, and I think it's we always said it's built to move, styled for life because we wanted to create. It started with our core short, like a great looking short that you could wear to yoga and then go grab a beer with your friends afterwards and not change. And so, yeah, I agree with Lisa. I think we're talking to similar people and people who are looking for something that maybe when they're wearing it, other people might not know what brand it is, and that's okay because of how it looks and how it functions and the elevated quality of it.
Yeah, it feels human, not snobby, is kind of like what I had wrote down when I was looking at your websites, right? Like this idea of just like it feels approachable, and that's what I like. I
Yeah.
think thinking about both of your brands and how long you've been there, how has your customer changed from, I mean, for Lisa, you 6 years ago to now, and you know, Chad, from when you started, what's the biggest change in your customers?
And we have always been focused on sustainability, and we will always be focused on that. But I think back then sustainability was like this really radical thing. And I think it's now it's kind of like it's assumed everybody expects that. And so for us, it's been about evolving the way that we talk about that with our customers. But then we also have a lot of new customers that aren't really here for the sustainability. It's a nice to have for them. And a lot of them are here because they want a really well-made product that's cute, that they feel really good in. They want that quiet luxury compliment. And so I think kind of evolving towards this customer who's here for our fashion pieces and for building up their wardrobe and for the way it makes them feel, but making sure that we're kind of taking everybody along the journey. So we're still always focused on the sustainability piece and making sure that everybody can find a little piece of themselves as we evolve.
Yeah, Chad, how about you?
A little piece of themselves as they evolve. I love that. I mean, our customer. I don't think our customer has really changed. But we've been as we've grown, we've gone from just men's and to women's and focusing really on like running, yoga, surf to now we have like travel commute and the snow collection that I mentioned. And my wife, when she found out that I worked at Vuori, hadn't heard of us before, and it's because she is not an athleisure person at all.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, we really didn't have anything for her to wear. And now we've kind of replaced half her closet as we come out with new materials like cashmere and new silhouettes like blazers and pants that you could wear them to yoga, but then you also wear to the office, and it feels great and it looks great and it moves with you. And yeah, I think our customer is still looking for the same thing. It's just we're able to meet them at a few more places and different sections of their closet now.
It's funny that you say that about your wife. When I told her that I was recording this episode with you both, she was like, not sure who Fiore is, but I have this Everlane bag, and tell them I love this bag that I have. And I was like, a bag? They're like a clothing brand. And she's like, no, it's like this little like travel clutch thing or whatever with
The
zipper top.
catch-all. Yep.
And she's like, I use it every trip we take. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if that's what they would identify their brand around, but
No, I
if
love
you're
it.
looking for more ideas, that's her go-to. I'm like, well, we got to have you try the clothes here. But Okay, we've set this good foundation on like who your customer is, who your brand is, and I think like as we jump into these segments, really want to sort of dive into how you're taking this idea of these, you know, this elevated, approachable apparel and then translating it to your customer experience. So as we jump into, you know, this first segment that I call the CX playbook, my idea around this is what's one tactic, maybe two, a change, new experience that you've rolled out that's made your customer experience feel more premium and intentional. You know, I kind of said like not logo everywhere. So like what makes it more intentional without it feeling overproduced or stiff? And Chad, I kind of want to stay with you on this since you talked about changing product lines and all this stuff. Like what's something that you guys have really focused on that you think helps?
So I don't want to even call it a policy or return policy, but we started 10 years ago as such a small brand, and we really wanted people to trust us and to see the quality that we knew we had. And so we started calling our return policy, for lack of a better word, investment in happiness. So you're investing in a new piece that is going to bring you happiness. And that has made us think about the different ways that customers either come to meet us or the ways they interact with us. So from customer service point of view, investment in happiness is really like, if you don't love it, that's okay. Just return it. But we know you're going to love it so much that we'll take it back even if you've worn it out, or you've worn it to a yoga session, or you've worn it skiing and you're like, this isn't working for me, or I don't love it. Because like, and that's a piece of sustainability too, where if you are going to spend a higher dollar value on something, it is an investment, and it should last, and it should meet your needs and make you feel good.
There's so many brands that have this 365-day return policy now that I've noticed. I was looking at the brand Marine Layer the other day, and I'm like, you know, it's so interesting that they're like 365, no questions asked. But I think you mentioned trust, Chad, and that kind of policy builds trust, right? Like you saying, hey, we'll take it back if you wore it, if you've worked out in it. That's kind of like, hey, we're confident that you're gonna like it. And so I appreciate that in a brand as a consumer. How about you, Lisa, with Everlane? Like, what's something that's in your playbook?
I think this is like a little less exciting, a little less sexy, but honestly, we're just trying to make it invisible, like the experience really invisible. So really trying to get out of the way of the customer and make it as self-service, self-help. Hopefully there's no reason that you have an issue, and we're kind of just like invisible. So the way that we have approached things for a really long time is really just using CX as a barometer for where the pain points are and then eliminating them rather than figuring out how to like fix them for customers better. Just getting rid of all of the pain points, kind of getting out of the customer's way, really. I think that that's typically our approach with things. So yes, trying to make things as easy as possible. So, you know, people don't really want to talk to us. Typically our teams, they don't want to have to talk to us. They want to talk to us if they want to talk to us about what's cute or what size to get. But
between these two ideas, though, that you guys are throwing out here, like kind of this return policy, Chad, and this sort of the quiet side of quiet luxury. I mean, take a drink every time we say quiet luxury, I guess. But like, what told you guys that this idea was working? We talk a lot about, you know, metrics or reduction in ticket volume or something, like like for you to focus on like, hey, we want to kind of be out of the way. Like, how are you knowing as a brand that being out of the way is working? So I'd be curious, Lisa, and then for you, Chad, like, how do you know that return policy? And I think, Chad, when we come to you, I'm going to push a little harder because return policy comes up a lot. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time to think about this, because people are like, do I do free returns? Do I not do free returns? Do I let people wear it? So Lisa, just curious with you quick, like how did you know that this out of the way was working? And Chad, how did you know returns were working?
Yeah, it was definitely decreasing volume in relation to orders. People are reaching out with less issues, and we split our contacts into issues and non-issue contacts. So if customers are just there to like ask general questions about product, that's not really an issue. They're just kind of like wanting to interact with the brand. We can use it to inform what information is on a PDP, but it's not like a bad thing the way that we see it.
Yeah.
So yes, we have measured that kind of volume in relation to how many orders are being placed and trying to get that lower. And that also helps us get to all of our KPIs better and gives us the bandwidth to be able to just have more of those fun conversations. So yes, I will say as we moved in that direction and we got more and more efficient where there were like less contacts about silly little things, everything got better. I feel like it's like innately you're going to have a better CSAT because people aren't reaching out with like, they're not already angry when they're reaching out. So, yeah, I think that was kind of our main thing to try to reduce that. And it's very palpable that just the difference in the conversations with customers, and also like our agents are generally happier from moving in that direction.
Yeah.
It's not fun to have a customer with an issue. So yeah.
That makes sense. And Chad, I love that you brought up returns because returns have been a hot topic on the last couple episodes, and brands saying, and we talked a little bit about this in LA, like return fraud, return policy abuse. So brands are now coming and asking, me and others, I'm sure you guys hear it, do we do free returns? Do we take used returns? Like when do we do inspections? So, you talked about this like more I don't even know what the right word is, but like a more generous return policy. So how did you guys see that moved the needle in your customer experience?
Well, we have never really measured it, but to be honest with you, our investment in happiness is just what we put on the tag. And from the very beginning of Vuori, it was this piece is going to be investment in your happiness. And we left it vague on purpose so that we could navigate over time what exactly the fine print of investment in happiness would be. But one of our pillars, our values as a company, is to be in great relationships. And when you have something like that to fall back on, especially as an agent, where, hey, you did wear this, don't worry, you can take it back. Like that just helps elevate the relationship you're going to have. And like Lisa was saying, it frees the agent up to not stress or feel like they have to be a security officer for your brand. And I know that a lot of my agents, sometimes they're like, oh, it feels like this person's taking advantage of us. But when ultimately that's just a 1%, and then 99% are blown away that you have this investment in happiness. It's really, it helps build the relationship with a customer. And I don't think returns are messy always, but I don't think that premium means just boundaryless. Like you do whatever you want. I don't think a premium brand means you're going to bend to every single will of the customer. I think you can be premium and also communicate what your boundaries are with grace and be really generous in the boundaries that you put up in a way that instills confidence in your product, but also not fear of the customer, what the customer's going to do.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I love saying like your agent isn't the security guard for your brand. That's not, maybe people have a good experience with security guards, but you're like, that's not what you want them to be, right?
But sometimes they feel like they are, and I'll see it on their faces when they're working, and I'm like, let it go. You don't have to like getting this customer to return this item because you don't believe that they're actually like gonna keep it, or not that getting the customer to send the item back. Sometimes we instead will just refund them instead of asking for it back, and they're like, but I know they're still going to wear it. And it's like, that's okay.
That's okay. I know.
It's actually better that way. That's the more sustainable thing.
Yeah.
Like wear it to sleep. Keep wearing it. You don't want it to be in a landfill. I think that's something that we think about a lot with our return policies. I wish we could have this 365, like super, super generous policy, but a lot of it is intentional for us because we really think about the end use. And, when we're taking back returns, we want to make sure that we can resell them to another customer and make sure that we can use them for something else because it is also more sustainable that way. So that's why we try to be really helpful with information and making sure that like customers can select the right size because we don't want them to return it. It's shipping. Shipping things back is not sustainable, and not being able to get things on somebody's body. We would rather let you keep the item and have you wear it to bed if you don't love that piece. It could any nice t-shirt can be a pajama shirt.
Yeah, for sure. It's either a pajama shirt or a compression garment, right? Like
you can wear it for something.
If it's too tight, I'll wear it under my button up. If it's too big, I'll wear it to bed.
Yes.
No, I think I could do a whole episode on. We did it on fraud, but I could do it on these like return policy ideas because I think, especially around sustainability, I guess I never really thought about that. You've got people who are wardrobing and they order multiple sizes, and so it's like maybe even more so important that your product description pages, your customer experience teams are super educated on the fit to try to minimize that on the front side. People still do it, right? But feel confident, like, okay, a large is going to fit me.
Totally. Yeah. I can't remember. I had seen recently there was a brand that had all of these stats about like what the cost of a return is, like the environmental cost of a return. And I thought that was an interesting way of displaying that to the customer because, of course we're a business and we're trying to make revenue. There's that, but like there's something else there that's like, we don't want you to buy two of the same size. And if you don't love the piece and you're not going to wear it, we want you to return it so that we can sell it to somebody else. But I think that's an interesting thing that comes down to, I think, potentially just more education to the customer. I think customers are understanding a bit. I think when Amazon Prime was like still becoming the thing that everybody started doing, it was like, well, I don't understand why my package isn't going to be there in 24 hours, in 2 days. And I think now people do understand the cost of 2-day shipping. And so, yeah, I guess that's something that I think about a lot, is how we can educate customers to really understand policies and how it's bigger than just, we don't want to say no to customers, but we also want to be really thoughtful about the way that we interact and do business with people.
Yeah. Well, this is my favorite segment that we always do, and that's why I make it a little earlier. So it's the CX confession booth. And I think what I like about this one the most is just because everybody has a good story and something that makes you like wince a little bit when you think back, especially, people who've been at their brand for a little while. So I'm curious, like, what's a time where maybe the customer experience didn't live up to the brand, or but also ended up reshaping? Because I think there's also these learning moments in something bad happening. And so Chad, I'll start with you. Like, what's something in your confession booth?
So we have something called Project Stoke, and it's kind of a secret at Vuori, but some customers know about it. And Project Stoke is it's pretty much, it's a pretty secret. It's not published anywhere, but what we do is we'll find customers who left a great review either for a retail store or on a product page, and then we just surprise them with a box of Vuori swag. So whether that's a good review or they had a great interaction with our customer service team, and we're just like, this person's awesome, we want to stoke them out. So we have a certain number of these stoke boxes that we send out with all kinds of cool Vuori swag in them every month. When Project Stoke started, though, we were actually targeting low CSAT customers. So people who gave us a low CSAT score or had a bad experience. And I was thinking we'll win them back. Like, you had a bad experience with Vuori, a couple days later, you get a box full of cool Vuori stuff, and then you'll be a fan. But that was not the case. And for many months we tried this and it just wasn't working. People either weren't acknowledging the box. They would send it back. They were like, what? Why did you do this? And it didn't click with those customers. So then we decided, you know what, instead of trying to stoke out people who are down on the brand, let's just build up the stoke on people who are doing cool things and sending positive energy out. And so as soon as we started doing that, then we started hearing back from those customers. They started posting about it. They get excited to like wear the things that we put in the box, because you can only get the things that we put in these boxes if you get the Project Stoke box. And it's been much more well received doing it that way, just building on the stoke and the positive energy that hopefully that people are feeling from the products that they get, and they feel the work and the energy, the all of the collective that here at Vuori HQ that we're putting into the product. They feel it, and then they want to go write a good review, or they go make someone's day at a store, or have a great interaction with our customer service team. And then on top of all that, we hit them with a Project Stoke box, and they're blown away.
I love that, because I feel like we oftentimes hear in customer experience about rewarding the bad or the upset customers, and the good customers they don't get a ton of love. And so it's nice to be like, a lot of brands that have been on the podcast have talked about things like this. So these ideas about like taking surprise and delight, but focusing it on something positive, but then also, you know, building these communities and inviting people to Slack groups to talk about upcoming products, and like making your loyal customers that are actually your brand advocates like feel like a brand advocate, right? Glossier does this really well. They have like a secret Slack group. I think even 32 Degrees tried this out. We talked about on one of the episodes, and I think that's a really fun way. And I love that you admitted that you changed it around from negative to positive, because I do think people need to leave more positive reviews on stuff and that's been my goal for 2025, is like every time I buy something, just go leave a review. And sometimes I'll just like randomly think about it when I'm using the product. I'm like, wait, I need to go leave a review on this product, because and then I'll be like, website, Trustpilot, find the old email, and then just do it, because I know it means so much to these brands. And I like reviews, so it's like, might as well see the ones who are even more excited get a double positive review.
Well, I love the Stoke box idea. First of all, we do super nice things, is what we call them, SNTs, but definitely feel like I want something that's exclusive in there. I might need to steal that idea of like making something just for those customers. I was gonna so a mistake. We recently moved our warehouses and moved warehouses, sorry, and it was rough. It was really bad. We're coming out the other side, but I had a customer, speaking of like these kind of nicer customers that I was following through, I basically just like happened to stumble upon a customer who was reaching out about an issue. And when I started digging into it, realized that this customer had like 8 separate issues. It was like part of the order was canceled because of a stock out. It split, the part that we did ship to her split across 2 shipments. One of them got lost. Like her refund had failed. It was like the perfect storm of everything that could go wrong with an order. And this customer was so nice about it. And I'm like, guys, let's do everything she wants and more. Let's give her all her money back. We're going to send her the product. She's going to get it all for free. We're going to drop her extra, we're going to give her a gift card because we really have to fix this. But I think for us, the big thing that I want to make sure we're doing is we have to admit that we're wrong. We're not like, oh yeah, this is totally normal, and like gaslighting the customer into thinking that this is like what our expectation is. I think for us, mistakes are going to happen. They always do. And I think the best way to approach that is to be like, that was really bad. I'm so sorry. Yeah. You just have to admit it. And I think a lot of brands try to like smooth things over by focusing on the positive, or ignore it, even worse. For us, we're like, oh gosh, I'm like embarrassed by how bad this experience was. Let me figure out how to make this right for you. And I think in those cases, it does have to be very tailored. Like Chad, to your point, I think it depends on what the customer's mood is. And like, there's definitely certain things that if a customer is pissed, like they don't want your product, they want something else. And we can also do that. We can give them a gift card to their favorite restaurant that's close by or something. But I think that before you are giving away free stuff, or in addition to giving away free stuff, you really just have to admit that you just absolutely bombed. And that's okay. We're all doing
Yeah.
our best out here. We all make mistakes.
I mean, that ties into what Chad said about trust, right? I talk to brands too when they're thinking about like post purchase, where what happens when you miss your promise date. Like if you had an estimated delivery date, if somebody paid for expedited shipping, using that as a moment to turn it into a conversion opportunity, which is like, hey, we're so sorry that we're going to miss our estimated delivery date, especially now. Like this episode comes out right before peak, and that happens a lot, right? It could be warehouse delays, could be shipping delays, could be snowstorms. We're coming into winter. But owning up and saying as part of your flow, hey, we missed this. Here's 20% off your next order. Here's a custom promo code for $10 off, whatever, free shipping. There's so many things you can do that are small that can fess the issue, or fess up to the issue, but then also turn that into a conversion opportunity to then say, but we know you're going to love this product, so here we're going to make it right on this next order.
Yeah. Well, this was this isn't like, this is not my brand, but when I remember the Volkswagen Dieselgate thing.
I was wondering when you were going to bring up
You
Volkswagen.
love Volkswagen, yes.
I do love Volkswagen, but Volkswagen.
No, I don't think either Lisa or I know about Volkswagen Dieselgate.
I know the Dieselgate. It was
yeah.
Okay, I don't know about this. This is probably a California thing.
This was big.
Yeah, they like their diesels were getting like 50 miles a gallon, but they were also emitting like 12 I think times over the legal limit of fumes. And anyways, they had to like buy all these cars back from customers, and I had a diesel and I was like, I'm not going to sell it, I love this car. But then
I love the environment more.
Then I was like, oh shoot, I bought this car because I thought it was good for the environment, and it wasn't. And then I felt really gross driving it around, but they did such a good job like handling that and buying people's cars back for way more than they were worth. Like I think they would have lost a lot of fans, but they didn't because of the way they handled that.
That's interesting. I was wondering, mark this moment, I was wondering, I wasn't going to bring up Volkswagens, but I wanted to see if Chad would figure out a way to sneak VWs into...
It's always on top of my mind.
Into customer experience.
Well, I know you have the electric one, right? The new.
I have a VW, a Buzz, like the bus, the electric bus.
Yes. So
yeah,
my husband and I are, we care about the environment, and when that happened, we were like, we'll never buy a Volkswagen. And then that bus came out. We were like, dang it, that looks really cool. We kind of want it. So good to hear that they made right with the customers that had those vehicles.
Yeah, they really did.
Well, I think that is a fun customer experience story. And that's exactly like, those are the things that I love, Chad, like those little moments where it's like, hey, this is something that I saw and I can acknowledge as like a cool customer experience. So this is, we're going to get a little nerdy now, right? So a little more nerdier than Volkswagens and electric vehicles. But I think segment 3 is where you guys can kind of highlight a little bit around what is working for you guys in your toolbox. So I call it Designer's Toolbox. The idea is let's highlight a tool or even an internal workflow. And I include that idea because I've had some people who are like, hey, this is something, I know you both use Customer. This is something that I've created, right? It comes up often. So what's like a tool or a workflow that is supporting this idea of quiet luxury? And Lisa, let's start with you and see what you got.
Yeah. Okay. So not exactly quiet luxury, but I think, Chad, like what you were talking about with like the 99% versus the 1%. So we mostly have incredible customers, and there's a couple bad actors out there that sometimes I think kind of sour your ability to really take good care of your real customers. So I think in general, fraud has been just really top of mind for us. I feel like there's so many people that have made doing fraudulent activity against retailers as like their entire full-time job. And it's a bummer because it makes us not able to take really good care of our best customers. So any of the fraud tooling that we've been using lately, I think it's really exciting to be able to just shut down all of the money that we're bleeding from these like not real customers, and use that money to like do cool things for other people that actually love the brand, that are like real customers that are really wearing your product. So I'll shout out Yofi. Yofi's been like a good
Oh,
one for us. I know we talked a
you're
lot about Yofi
people are
when
gonna
we were
think
together.
No Fraud and Yofi have come up all season, and
Yes.
I'm telling the producers of this episode, clip this because I'm hitting them up for sponsorship for season 3 because it comes up all the time. But it is such a, I mean, I did
No,
that
I'm
whole
not being paid to say this.
yeah,
I legit, it's super helpful, and it's like shocking how wild things were happening that we had no idea about.
I'm
And
a
so
I'm a
it's great.
fan too, and I know Chad, I was sitting next to you at the thought leadership event, and I know I saw you like writing this stuff down, right? But like I I'm good friends with Adam at Yofi. We're both in Minnesota. We've known each other for a long time. He knows the customers that I work with and the brands I work with, and he'll screenshot me things that his tech team finds in these, I don't know, black market chat rooms and stuff. And he'll be like, hey, heads up, one of your customers is getting hit with this type of return fraud. And it's just wild to me. And I'm like, well, quick, before they shut it down, let me quick place an order. And, no, it's just weird to think like there's people out there that are actively trying to figure out how to scam these brands and testing your customer service, testing your customer experience teams, and then they're telling everybody else. Um, recently, I won't name the brand because I don't want anybody to do it, but he was like, hey, they're saying that if you order up to $500 and you just call their customer service team and say it didn't show up, they'll just refund you your money back. That's great customer experience because you want to believe that. And Chad, you said it's this 1%, right? But that 1%, if that's 10,000 people, if you're doing, whatever, like a million orders or something, that's 10,000 people who are calling in saying, I had $500 not show up. And now this becomes this big problem. And so I think they keep coming up. I'm fine with it. I love giving Adam a little bit of spotlight, but he does not sponsor the podcast, so we gotta. But I do think that they've got this hot idea. So that would be my tool too. Chad, what about you? What's something in your toolbox, not fraud, but that helps your customer experience?
I didn't know anything about customer acquisition costs when I started like 10 years ago at Vuori. But when I was included on those emails with marketing and acquisition, and I started seeing like what I started just reading everything in there, and I would always check every week what our customer acquisition cost was,
Mm.
and I just share that with the agents. And it's a really good way to get them to understand how valuable each and every person is. And I'm not saying to put a dollar value on the person, but to put a dollar value on what you are able to do to keep them.
Yeah.
Because if we lost them, then it's going to cost us that much to get someone else. And so when I have an agent who is struggling with refunding somebody for a missing package that the agent doesn't believe the customer, if you just go back and think, okay, well, what did it cost us to begin with to acquire this person? Then they are much more willing and able to go home and hopefully not think about that customer after their shift. And so just giving your agents the knowledge of the customer acquisition costs.
I really like that. Nobody's ever really brought that up on an episode. I think what's interesting that I've just learned working with fashion brands that a lot of people don't realize is that you actually don't recoup that customer acquisition cost until that customer makes 2, 3, sometimes depending on your price point, sometimes 4 purchases. It is really important for your customer service team to know that if somebody has a bad experience, if they have a bad experience around returns or exchanges, they're less likely to purchase again. And now you need to acquire even more customers in order to make up for those ones that you lose. And I think sometimes customers, like not being educated customers, think like, well, you're making all this money every time I buy this product, and they don't realize brands need you to buy more and more in order to actually. Meta's not cheap, right? Everyone's putting all their money into Meta. I know this. I ran like a little. I mean, I don't even know why I'm bringing this up. I ran like a little side hustle men's like skincare brand for about 2 years. And I thought, I'm going to make this cool product. I'm going to do a couple of Instagram posts. I'm going to lean really into like the 1950s. Like Lisa, you would have loved it. It was this atomic age. Like really mid-century modern vibes, and people are just going to buy it. And I don't need a ton of orders. Like, I just doing it for fun. And it was like crickets. And then Meta's like, why don't you boost this post? Why don't you run an ad? Why don't you do all this stuff? And then, so I put a couple of dollars behind it. And then I get a bunch of weirdos who post mean things on my posts in the middle of the night about, why would I put something called atomic age on my face? It sounds like toxic waste, And I'm like, great, wasted all that Meta ad spend, but you don't realize that. You have to spend a lot of money. So I love that, Chad. I think that's actually a fun transition though and I realize I always say great transition, but they are always good transitions to this next segment, which is the customer journey spotlight. And what I like to do is really sort of zoom in on one point in the customer journey where you think like customer experience really shines or the brand image shows up. And so, Chad, you're talking about customer acquisition and talking about repeat purchases. I'm going to stay on you here and just think like, what's one part in the customer journey that you think Vuori just gets right?
I think our storytelling is something that maybe isn't super evident when you first look at it, but I think we're really good at telling a story, whether it's in our marketing or in the voice of our brand through how we communicate with the customers. We have like an elevated casual language that we use when we're talking with customers. Like I just used the word like Project Stoke, like stoking out people. I think that's kind of a Encinitas, like beach town word. And we use a lot of that verbiage when we're communicating with our customers on the phone or in email. And that, I think the voice of the brand is probably the piece that we get good. The voice of the brand, the storytelling.
Are you doing a lot with AI right now?
We are doing, it's funny. I think the more that I spend working on AI in customer service, the more my view is changing of it, because I am started going really all in on how much can I automate, and then what should I automate, and then now I'm just thinking more about what can I do to make my agent's job so easy that maybe I don't need to automate anything customer facing, but instead I can just give a bunch of superpowers to my agents. And I think that might be a better way forward. But I think where I want to automate are things like after hours when I don't have people, because we don't have 24/7 support. I don't know, Lisa, if you guys do, but we don't. And being able to offer that would be a good idea, and we will continue to explore that. But giving our agents superpowers, I think that's a fun way that you can keep it really a luxury experience and elevated experience, but also the agent doesn't feel as burdened as they usually are. And then if it is a customer facing interaction, again, making that agent, the AI agent, really repeat the voice of your brand or sound like you. And we have three like pillars of AI for Vuori customer service, and it's transparent, empowering, and joyful. And the joyful one is kind of where it comes, touches on our brand voice and making sure that when you're interacting with any automation, that it's a fun experience and it uses emojis and
that's what I was
it's
picturing is
friendly.
like some chatbot going, "I'm stoked to have you try these pants." Like they're so tubular or something,
Yeah.
The California brands love their surfer boys, right? Like Dr. Squatch always has their chatbot. I don't know if you've listened to that episode, Chad, but their chatbot at Dr. Squatch is called Chad. And they're like,
Yeah, no, I know.
he's a surfer. He lives in California. He loves the product. So maybe when they're ready to like put a face to the chatbot, I'm going to tell Tess that she needs to hit you up, and then you can be the face of Chad the chatbot.
It's a classic surfer kid name.
Lisa, what about you? What's something that in the customer journey that Everlane gets right?
Yeah, I was going to say I'm still waiting for the dating shows of all the chatbots.
I
I want
want
to
to
see
do
that.
it.
Yeah.
I want to figure gorgeous and customer. Well, they have to get along first of all, but they have to figure out like, play nice in the same sandbox. Figure out like how do we just dump them all in like a chat GPT room, and then maybe I'll have Film Lab next season. We'll just do a scripted reality show, and we'll just act out through AI all the chatbots and do it. But
I want to
that
see that.
I know.
Yes.
It'll probably get me 10x the views if I just turn it into drama.
The people give the people what they want. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. So for us, the way we are, I think, showing up for customers it is also similarly but differently. I think the brand building and who we are, I think we're really thoughtful about everything that's done. Every little detail about Everlane is obsessed over and considered. So there's the aesthetic, but I think the really fun part is, again, I keep bringing it back to sustainability because honestly, that's why I'm here. And that's what brought me to the brand. But we do these like crazy impact reports, not crazy. They're wonderful. And they do it once a year where it's like a thesis project for our sustainability team every single year where they talk about all of the things that they did. And for me, I think it's the research and the receipts that we show up with that we're constantly doing. So there's the one that's once per year, but then also just constantly doing it. It really builds this entire experience. I think for us, it adds to that trust of you don't have to read through the whole impact report. I think very few people actually do. But you can kind of zoom in and read a little portion of it. And it just kind of gives you that faith that everything else that you're about to experience, like you can trust it. You can trust the quality, where the things were made. And even if you don't want to do all the research, you can figure that out. And I think that can kind of carry customers through their entire interaction with our brand. Once we have the receipts, then they know that they can trust us.
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of like been the theme of the episode. Seems more as trust than the idea of quiet luxury, right? So I really like that. Same question to you. I know you're speaking, one of the speakers at the AI CX Summit that I'm part of. If you know this yet, I don't know. Maybe they haven't reached out to you.
I'm actually chatting with Yofi.
Okay, yeah, you are. But not a paid actor for them.
No, I wish.
Maybe just a little teaser for kind of how Everlane is leveraging AI. But I mean, what are you guys doing in your customer experience with AI?
I think similarly to Chad, it feels like a winding road. I guess it's not a straight path, and so I think actually the first I ever heard of you, Chad, was when we were going through different betas and things like that. I think AI looks like a lot of different things and you can use it in a lot of different ways. And so for us, it's been, I would say, like a little bit disjointed. We'll kind of take a couple steps forward and then we kind of take a step back as we reconsider. And we've been cautious and slow. So we're definitely not like front runners in the AI race. But we're moving slowly and thoughtfully to make sure that it feels right for us. So I don't have any cool wins or 2-digit it's like single digits what we're able to
Automate.
contain, but
Yeah.
and that's okay. I think for us, like everything, it's been a very slow and considered process. So more to come on that. I think it's silly to not use it at all, right? Like there's so many cool things, but I like what you're saying, Chad, too, about like superpowering your team. I think that's really interesting. And I think AI is so exciting, but you don't want to abandon everything that you've already been doing and run in a completely different direction. I think it's just about like being really thoughtful and making sure that you're protecting all the things that you've worked so hard to build.
Yeah. Chad, did you have something you wanted to add there?
Yeah, I was going to say, I also think I think AI is really exciting. My wife, who's a PhD student and teacher, doesn't and is like not a fan of it. And I think that it's okay to want to talk to a human and want to build a relationship with a human. And the brands that embrace AI in the right ways, I think, will go far. But I also think still always being able to, like, one thing that we did, and I don't know if I want to share this on the podcast, but I will share it, which is that if you email us and you say like, hey, I don't want to talk to AI, I have a button in the platform customer, that my agents can click, and it's their AI preference. And if that customer says I don't want to talk to AI, and they choose the button, their preference is never to talk to AI, then when you chat with us, when you email us, you'll never get to our AI experience, because I think people like my wife and like my parents, it might make them more frustrated, even if I'm a big believer and I know I can solve their issue with AI, and I can do it faster and I can do it better probably than a human. Some people just don't want it. And I think speaking of quiet luxury, I think respecting people's preferences and remembering people's preferences is a big piece of the feeling that comes with quiet luxury.
Segment 5 is the CX Mythbuster. So are you saying that your myth that you want to bust is that you don't need AI to provide good customer experience?
I don't think that's a myth, though. Yeah. I think my myth was going to be...
Yeah, it's something different. I just was thinking when you were saying that, I was like, this is why I do this podcast, is the idea of like getting two brands with either similar or opposing views, but it's been views from the other episodes that are different, right? I love phone, I hate phone. I love AI, I hate AI. I think that it's interesting, like both of you are on the same page where you're like, I talk to some fashion brands, they're like, we are leaning into AI. If AI says that they can do 30 to 40% automation, we want 70%. And I think it's refreshing to hear you both say, look, we're figuring it out. And honestly, if you want to talk to a human, talk to a human. Because I think that's really refreshing when most brands are like, let's automate more. And so I think that I'll take that as my myth to bust, is that you don't need AI to provide good customer experience.
Yeah. And I think what Lisa said, where she's like, will you be crazy not to try it and at least put some AI tools in place? It's just figuring out what those are, how you're going to use them is important. But my myth that I was going to bust, which is not really related to the Vuori customer, but just to like luxury premium customers in general, is that luxury premium customers want discounts and rewards just as much as non-luxury and premium customers. I think, in my experience, talking with my friends and other people in the space, when you have a reward system or some kind of discounts, it still makes people feel good. And it's like good old-fashioned discounts are still something that is something I think luxury customers want. And I think about it like the like American Express and the Chase Sapphire Reserve, like credit cards. Those are luxury cards. Those are luxury premium cards. And that's another thing I could talk forever about, is credit card points. I love talking about those things. But that, I think, is something where you aren't going to be a customer of an Amex Platinum or a Chase Sapphire Reserve card if you aren't interested in discounts or some kind of reward system. And so at Vuori, we don't have really... The rewards that we have is we have like a birthday program to reward you on your birthday based on your spend. And that is pretty popular. So I think I would say that like discounts and rewards are still important to luxury customers, would be the myth that I would bust.
And we just were talking before we started recording here about Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales, and being excited for them. And I think I'm trying to be a better luxury customer. My goal for 2026 is invest in quality pieces. And maybe this ties back to Lisa with your sustainability, like look for good stuff, but I love to hunt a good deal. I love to, because I want quality, but I want to feel like, ooh, I got this. I got this at a steal. And then I'm like more excited to show it off. So I do love that, Chad. But Lisa, what about you? What's a myth? We got a couple good ones out here. What's one that you want to get off your chest?
So I feel like I kind of already went into this a little bit, so sorry to steal my own thunder, but I really think I think my myth is that customers want above and beyond customer experiences. And I think the reality is that they don't want a customer experience. They don't want to think about you. They want to just do their own thing and not think about like CX, customer experience. They don't want to have to think about customer service. They want it to just work perfectly and invisibly in the background. And that's what we're doing. So yeah, that's my myth. I 100% agree with you, Chad. And I think that's been a big learning for us as we move more into the luxury space, though, is just because you can afford really nice things doesn't mean you want to just throw your money into everything without being thoughtful about it. So for sure.
I like both those. I mean, I think that I think that luxury customers want good support, and then people think they just want fast shipping, right? Like they want to get it quick. But because they're, but it's like, no, they actually want like I think when I talk to brands, they find that their customers want to be talked to more. They want their hand held a little bit, even after the purchase. That's a lot of like what I talk to brands about. And so I think all those are really good myths to talk about. I usually end the podcast on like, hey, people can connect with you on LinkedIn. I think that's pretty obvious. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, they can connect with you on LinkedIn, maybe track you down at a future CX Mixer event if I can get you guys out to some conferences. But how I want to end with you guys real quick is just a quick tip. So if a brand, if like a new brand is listening and they want to make their experience feel more, and let's just keep using our buzzword like quiet luxury, in the next 90 days. And maybe this is weird because we've got holidays coming up, but like just a quick tip, and we'll start with you, Lisa. What's one practical thing that they could start with or that they should focus on to get that feel in their customer experience?
I mean, I would say, depending on where you're starting from, honestly, look at what people are talking to you about and start zeroing in and sizing up where you want to put your priorities. And again, trying to make more of those experiences invisible. I think that that's going to be the quickest way to like clean something up. Is just
Are you saying like email, chat, phone, or what are you
not in
like,
channel offerings, but more of like the content of what customers are coming to you with. What are customers talking to you about? Where are the biggest pain points, and how can you make those go away? Even if it's something like Wizmo, where it's like you're always going to get Wizmos, but like, are you really making it easy to find where your order is? We redid our help center a while back, and just having these like little quick links of like the easiest, shortest, fastest possible way to find it if you somehow don't have it in your email. Like we just want to make it as easy as possible. Wizmos are always going to happen, but
hit the easy button.
Hit the
Chad,
easy button.
Chad, how about you? What's something that you think somebody could do in the next 90 days to kind of like elevate their customer experience?
Let's see. I think we think about three things. So this is one thing, but it's three things. It's like making sure the customer feels understood, valued, and prioritized. But the caveat to each of those is understood without making them explain themselves, valued without making them prove their value, and prioritized without deprioritizing somebody else or anyone else. And if you think about that for your customer, it's much easier to start internally and be like, how can I make my team feel understood, valued, and prioritized? And so my advice would be just ask your team what you think should change or what are their hardest spots. And if you're a customer, I can tell you that many people on my team are also customers. And so they know what the pain points of a customer is, and they have
Yeah.
great ideas. And I think sometimes decisions are made by people who maybe haven't actually purchased something on your website in a really long time. And the people who are customers, they're the ones who you want to hear from. But yeah, I would say that look to your team and make sure your team is feeling understood, valued, and prioritized. And that will trickle to the customer. Absolutely.
Nice. Both great tips, you guys. Appreciate you taking time out of your busy day with peak just around the corner. And so I'll let you guys get back to planning your stuff. But thanks again for joining.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Larry.
Thank you. Good to see you again, Lisa. Thanks, Larry.
Yes. I can also do no headphones if that's better. I do have a dog that barks.
Yeah, it's helpful for the other people shopping too.
Dog.
Sorry.
The dog's like, I'll take a Stoke box.
I know.
Lisa, you're not supposed to look at the chat. He's down to do the AI
Oh.
Love Island.